I mean, look, this is a new format. Just do whatever is like natural and comfortable.
All right, guys. All right, shall we?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's already recording. Hey guys, so welcome to this week's episode of the MidYouth Saga series, broadcasting from Saiwon-ho, Tongchong, and Central. And the reason why we're doing this is because, unfortunately, we've had a cluster in Hong Kong, so we're all being socially responsible and being safe and just keeping it real and positive. So yeah, welcome to this segment on Zoom meetings. We're gonna do the Zoomies today. Alrighty, so we're gonna do the Zoomies. Sammy's really good at the Zoomies. We know this, like ADHD shiny objects. Yes. Alrighty. Okay. So Phil, tell us, how has this week been? What have you learned? And Stevie, tell me about what have you learned this week.
Man, this week was as we were talking about in the chat. It's a rough week for me. I need to learn how to stop. I need to actually slow down a bit and take time to just not do anything, not have anything on my plate or anything extra that my body can't handle. You know what I mean?
So does that mean Shavasana all day, every day? That's my favorite.
Shavasana. I did Shavasana today. I did a couple. Good. Just like on YouTube, just like it's only like the whole weekend I was doing something. I didn't stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, we're here to support you to do nothing. I'm all about doing nothing, except for right now.
Nothing's great.
Yeah.
What about Steve? What have you learned this week?
Learned this past week.
Or last week, rather.
I saw that in the notes, and I was like, oh my god, how often do we learn? We have. Dan, a thing you recently learned how to do. I'm like, whoa, I don't know if I learned a new skill in particular. What did we learn in the last week? That's such a tough one. I should have come prepared with a better answer. What did you learn? What did you learn?
The all-knowing, encompassing world. I learned I am capable of cooking live shrimps instead of just frozen ones. They came out gloriously, so I'll make that for our dinner next week for the with the reunion we're having, the celebration of Max doing his test, and the housewarming. I'll make shrimp for all of us. You get one shrimp each, and I get 20.
Where did you get shrimp? Where did you get live shrimp?
I have wet market downstairs. I've got like literally everything my heart would desire. Butcher shop, I've got like seafood market, I've got vegetable shop, I've got fruit stand, I've got flower shop, I've also got a garbage disposal, but they really don't need that. They've got me, so it's fine.
Oh my god. I have the wet market too downstairs, and I always pass by the live creatures section. Never once have I actually considered purchasing something. I saw a bunch of frogs in a cage yesterday. The janky ass cage. There was these frogs just chilling there.
Yeah.
And I mean, for a moment, I felt like a bit of sympathy, maybe. And then I was like, "What are you doing with these dirty frogs? Like, how do you seriously? Who sees a live frog and thinks, "I want to eat that? Looks good. I want to eat that." I don't. Like, they're all. Yeah.
Sorry. Go on.
No, they just don't look appealing. I mean, and a lot of the fish are also. I mean, I wouldn't even know where to begin. But in China, the frogs are a delicacy.
I mean, China, they're known for doing frog-like skewers, actually, and they're very tasty. They taste like chicken.
So it's just the legs that people eat. Do people eat anything else with the frog?
I don't know. I'm not going to answer this because I plead the fifth right now.
You're a self-confessed dumpster apparently, and you don't know.
Well,
that's because I eat everything.
The fish is delicious, though. Yeah, you do eat everything. Like a fresh fish is delicious, though.
It is it's very different. Like honestly, the quality and the bite is very different. So yeah, but that's the thing. Like live shrimp, I really do enjoy like the taste of the shell or like the shrimp heads. I know it's a very Asian thing, but the shrimp head gives it a lot of flavor. And when you fry it with the garlic, it's a whole different phenomenon. But I'll make it for you guys. Don't worry.
You know, I don't know if since we have such a global, perhaps universal audience. Maybe maybe some of the viewers don't know exactly what a wet market is. Like maybe we should a wet market in Hong Kong and in many places in Asia is a place where you can go and buy fresh vegetables. I think they're fresh
Yeah.
frogs, live
Fresh from the farms.
dead
They used to
creatures,
have chickens, eh?
meat chickens.
Yeah.
I guess they got rid of that with the
because
flu.
Yeah, bird flu. They stopped it.
Right.
There are actually wet markets with live chickens. I can't
Still?
stand seeing that, but there are options of yeah, they do. But more on the New Territory side. Hong Kong, like
Okay.
island side, doesn't have as much. Yeah, but I don't really. That doesn't make it taste better for me, so I'm not really interested in that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would be interested to try. I don't know what to do with them.
Mm.
The wet market is a very interesting concept. If they don't have the prices, I'm terrified because I feel like they'll try to rip me off. The term wet market in general, just discomfort, like wet socks. Why do I want to be wet when I'm shopping? And sometimes it is.
Isn't it wet
Sometimes
because they keep cleaning the floor?
there's puddles all over the street. Sometimes
Yeah.
there's blood. There's a lot of old elderly people that are just standing and looking. It's like a pastime of the elderly, just stand in the
You gotta
street
come
and,
to the-
admire the food.
You gotta come to the wet market in Tung Chung. It's actually really, really nice. It's actually
All right.
really
Well, I
good.
hope they have tofu pho, so maybe we can go to that next time. That could be one of our challenges in the future.
Mm.
I
They have
did.
tofu
Okay,
pho
so
and Mexican food.
I love
Ooh.
Mexican food.
It's hard to come by Mexican food here.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I did host Mexican.
Ooh,
Ish.
well, let's maybe that could be the theme for the next get together. I feel so
Sweet.
I slighted you guys for not coming prepared with something I learned, so I'll revert to today. I learned.
Yes,
Today I
bring it,
learned
bring
that
it.
octopuses sometimes punch fish. A hypothesis is that octopus is punching out of spite to punish the fish. Research suggests that
I've
the
heard
octopus brain, though drastically different than ours, is capable of complex behavior and cognition. So
Yeah,
Just
they
like,
do it for fun. I've
yeah.
heard they do it for fun. Wait, so Phil, next time we hang out, if I just punch you, can I just say I'm an octopus?
Definitely. With
Have you ever
all
seen an
your
octopus?
tentacles?
Oh God!
With all your reach and like you have so many different social circles. Just
Wow.
Like, we were just having a quick chat on IG, and I was like, Sam was like, I'm not an influencer. By the numbers, technically no, but I still feel like you are.
Well, I'm flattered and I'm
spirit.
happy to be here with this
The
group.
numbers
In
don't
spirit.
reflect your true ability to influence.
yes,
Love it.
your IG game's on
And-
point.
IG game on point. On point. On point.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I love the flattery and all, but we should move on to like this week's topic. And it's a heavy one today. Are you guys ready? You guys sure
Yeah.
you're ready?
Yeah.
It's how do we come back from failure?
Hmm.
And, as you may know, we've all been around the block a few times and definitely seen a fair share of success and failure. So in the moment, failure can seem really like very daunting and it's a mountain that's insurmountable to climb. But here we are, we're all here. So we'd like to actually delve into these moments of failure, these moments when everything seems screwed and you can't come back, and how do you rise above it, and how you made the comeback, right? And how you picked yourself back up. So let me start by asking you guys, what was a setback you've had recently? Like, what was a big thing that it's funny because it's not about the big, it's not the small, it's that moment you're feeling. So tell me something you really felt, like that. It was hard.
A failure.
Don't go there.
Phil, do you want to go on this one? When I was reading these notes, I was like, "There's no way we're getting anything out of Phil."
Like closed turtle shell. I just go back into my
Yeah, you're a turtle.
Well, he's got a frog leg in his mouth. He's got a foot in his mouth now.
I do. And you kind of set me up. Okay, so recently, setback recently. I mean, I came ready with a story that kind of is about my career, but this was 2008, sort of 13 years ago. But recently, I tried to run a half marathon. I think that's the most recent like failure in the sense of like not accomplishing what I set out to do. And what I discovered was I can run further than I think I can, and you should always hydrate. You should always take water. My challenge this week to another friend of mine is to drink at least 2 liters of water every day. And after the weekend I've had, it's 3 liters of water for me every day. I need to hydrate. I need to hydrate. So in that moment, the feeling was just this utter disappointment, almost regret that, not regret. It was almost like it was a disappointment in who I was as a person. I told myself, I could hear one of my teacher's voices say, "You'll never amount to anything. You don't even, run a half marathon." But I also realized that I just ran 19 kilometers, which to me that's huge, right? But
That's
it wasn't
intense.
21. And it was like up and down hills, like 300 meters elevation. It was crazy. 300 meters is 1,000 feet. So it was that was a tough one. But the feeling was, I don't know, I was very disappointed in myself, disheartened by who I was and what I was doing, So that's the it was almost like I didn't like myself at that point, So as I kept
But why do you
pushing
think you
forward,
didn't like yourself?
it's just a
Like,
feeling
what
I
is
had.
it about? Like,
Yeah, it was just a feeling I had. I was like, I'm not worth anything, It's like, oh, how could you attempt something and fail it, right? Failure is one of my biggest fears, like never amounting to anything, never accomplishing something. So to me, this was it was a humbling moment. It was a very humbling moment, but the way I see failure is this is cheesy, but someone said the door to success is down the hallway of failure. And
100%.
yeah, I used to write them down in a little I'll write them down in a sketchbook, right? I'll write down these like sayings. One of them was by Frederick Douglass. He said, I may not be responsible for getting knocked down, but I am responsible for getting back up. Right. So I would write that down in a sketchbook, right? And then I'll draw an anime character like next to it, because I was really big into anime art style at that point. So I had like 3 comics running, and I draw like one of my characters like overcoming failure, like jumping over a gorge they couldn't before, defeating an enemy that they could never beat before. So the new one I have is new saying that I keep telling myself is, sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. And whenever I hear that voice saying that I'm nothing, I'm useless, I'm garbage, I should be thrown into the trash can, I just tell myself that, what can I learn from this one? And so, for instance, with the half marathon, it was learning that running's not for me, and I can actually do more than I can actually do more than I perceive I can do. Because normally I just run 10Ks. I did 19, which is almost double. So
it's amazing.
That's freaking incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, like running. I mean, you guys from the last episode, as you guys know, I mentioned running is a punishment for me. So to hear anyone running 10 kilometers, 19 kilometers, any kilometers at all, is just inspiring to me, anyways. And it's, I think I can call back to the fact that I do feel like, oh my God, I'm such a failure that I can't actually run. And relating to what you just said, you know what? Our bodies are amazing machines. We can do a lot more than we think, but somehow I can do everything else. But when it comes to hiking or running, I just have this mental block, and I do feel I can relate where, like honestly, Phil, I feel like a failure when I constantly just say, no, I can't do it. And one of the interesting conversations I've had previously, my friend had told me, I want you to say, I can try, I would try, instead of saying I can't. So I thought that was really interesting.
Do you believe in the trying aspect or just the doing aspect? Coming back to the Yoda's saying what he says. Do or do not. There is no try.
I think it's actually true because like if when you're trying, you're in essence doing the activity, right? But I think it depends on the person what their mindset is. Like if they use trying, it means that they would have had to accomplish the end goal. That's a trying. If you had done, that means it's been completed. But I perhaps the healthier mindset would be just in any effort, it's been done. Because you know what? Yeah, it's a benchmark that you set. That's very, very different, right? What are your thoughts on this, Steve?
It's very interesting concept. You know, I think I've tried to completely eradicate the concept of failure out of my brain. So, you know, what I mean is because to say that you failed something, this is kind of funny. In the bathroom at my co-working space, they have these motivational pictures over the urinals. They don't make any sense. They're the dumbest things ever. And they all try to make these like acronyms out of these motivational words. And one of them says something about fail, F-A-I-L. Fail means first attempt in learning.
You guys are frozen.
But yeah, you're frozen actually. It's you who are frozen. Let it go. Let it go.
Oh, there we go.
And okay, so first attempt in learning, but then I was not like, well, what happens if you fail more than once? That's not your first attempt in learning, so it doesn't make any sense. But so the whole concept of failure is, you know, it's terrifying. It's a lot of pressure, and to fail at something, it has to be a finite goal, like no trying again, I believe. So to go to your bit about fail, is it about trying or doing? You know, to fail something means that it just can't be done, I suppose. But I think the way I try to always look at things is everything's in motion constantly, right? So you kind of remove the pressure of failure, like on a set date or a set time. And if you didn't get it, you just keep trying again. Failure in general, being a failure, failing at something, when I'm going through my head and I'm trying to think of when was the last time I failed, I can't think about a specific instance, and I think that's because I always just see things in motion. New opportunities come, new opportunities to learn, new opportunities to grow, new opportunities to see things from a different perspective. And so, you know, you can't really fail if you just keep looking at it as an iterative process. Yeah. So I would say I can't think of anything I can pinpoint to in the recent past and say I failed at that. However, the concept of failure or feeling like a failure, I think I was scarred from that as a kid, so that's why I'm trying to erase it. So that's my take on failure.
Remove it.
Yeah.
Did you fail as a kid before? Like, was there times where you would like
just like I think it was more of the concept of, well, I think I talked about this in a few other episodes when I was growing up, and this is something it's like having, you know, ADD, ADHD, whatever. It's definitely it's a real thing. And when I was growing up, you know, I struggled in a lot of things that everyone else could seemingly do normally. A lot of it is just focus. A lot of it's just the ability to study, the ability to retain information. You know, standardized testing was always hard because it was always like reading, but the things weren't going inside of your head. So when I was younger, I just thought, man, am I just a failure at everything? And I can't cope with this. And then obviously, you know, I got diagnosed. I had medication, and you realize, oh, you can actually do things, but then you have to come to the terms of the fact that this is just something I have to deal with in general. This is part of me. So then
you learn to accept yourself.
You learn to accept, but then, you know, there was you just kind of learn that, okay, well then there's always kind of things that you could do to hack around some of the things that you weren't good at or couldn't do as quickly as other people. So it's like, you know what, if the normal way isn't my way, I'm just going to figure out another way to do it or another way to succeed or stay afloat. So that's just kind of the overall mentality, I think.
That's very smart. That's definitely a way to overcome it. Yeah.
No, that's definitely overcoming failure. And I love the fact that you're not using failure as a definition. You're actually redefining what it means, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, you have to have a set, I failed this and I can never try it again. It's just like, no, I'm just going to try it again in a different way. So.
No, just try and try and try. Like, I try and be funny and I fail and fail over again, but it's fine.
That's true.
I'll just laugh. I can just laugh at myself. It's fine. I can laugh at myself all day. I look in the mirror and I just start laughing anyways. It's fine.
I think that's another
the Zoom call's hilarious, right?
I think a relatable. I have two experiences. I actually wanted to delve into. I think one of them was, growing up, I actually was a very good student. I always was top of the class and etc. And then I also have mentioned previously in other episodes that I've actually been kicked out of school multiple times, which is why I went to military school, went to boarding school, and etc. And then when I actually went to New York and gone to specialized high school, got kicked out for various reasons. And so for my family, I was always a failure. I was no longer the golden child. I was never good enough. And that actually defined me for a long, long time. And I think till this day, sometimes it's still that crappy voice in my head. It's like, Sam, you're not good enough. You haven't done this. You're not this and this and this. I think what I've done to overcome that and is finding a supportive network that tells me that it's okay to try and again, and to not compare myself to other people's timeline, and to take the time to process things. And you know what? Like, I have a business idea today that, 10 years ago, there was zero chance I would have done, because I wouldn't have had funding. I wouldn't have had the patience or actually the knowledge of the network I would have had. And on the flip side, there is so much fear of failure, because that is also that voice that sits in my head like, Sam, you got kicked out of school. You lost this and you lost that. But then I had to spin the story and think about all the opportunities I somehow ended up with because I made all the wrong turns. So I would say failure is definitely a cornerstone in going down the path of success. And it's not an easy subject, but it's up to you to narrate the story that you want to tell, honestly. So yeah, I think it's we definitely have various versions of like what is very different definitions of what failure means. I find this so interesting.
What do you think is what do you think is like the conventional definition of failure for a lot of people?
If I'm being honest, I think it's what people see in you. It's what, like, they're afraid of what people see versus of what actually really matters is how you view yourself. You know what I mean? A lot of times, like, we look outwards for validation of what our meaning is or what value we offer, what value we output, rather than really seeing inwards. Is this what's meaningful to me? If this is what success means for me. Success is so different for variations, right? Some people are driven by money. Some people are driven by their passion. Some people are driven by happiness. But what does that mean? And then, but you lose sight of that when you sit there and you're like, okay, what is that? If that person doesn't see me as being the rich person, I'm a failure. Oh, I should have been at 24. I should have made a company. I should have done this. That's when people get lost in their failures. And I think, unfortunately, this is my opinion of how a lot of people view themselves. And that's for a long time. And some days I still look at myself that way.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah.
I would add to that and say it's when they don't the reality doesn't match their expectation.
Yes.
And where they say, I wanted to be married at 25 and in an airline by 30, right? And for the first part, I would have failed it, right?
Yep.
But really at 25, man, what do you know at 25? It's
Right.
Some people get married young.
Right.
Is that a failure? I don't think so. But it was because, as Sam was saying, other people would look in and say, "Come on, Phil, you're about to turn 30. Why aren't you married?" Like, oh, it's bad, eh? My dad recently sent me a picture. He's been sending me actually a couple of pictures of eligible daughters of some of his friends. So,
Do they look like Steve?
No. I could be so lucky.
That's why you said no. Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, one's a doctor. Why don't you speak to her? She happened to be in the UK, but you should just speak to her. I'm like, what?
We have doctors in Hong Kong.
Doctors in Hong Kong. There's another one in Tokyo. And I'm like, how does he know so many doctors? Like, what's happening? Like,
never mind just doctors. Why are they locally dispersed everywhere?
Oh, that's Zimbabweans for you. We are all over the world,
Planting seeds.
Bridgerton, the lead actor in Bridgerton, the black dude, he's
so gorgeous. Sorry, what?
Bridgerton?
Yeah, the Netflix show. Bridgerton.
It's not your kind of thing.
Never heard of it.
Me and Janice will have a girls' night.
Yeah,
and we watch that.
Janice is chirping right now. I could hardly hear her, but she just when you got her attention. Bridgetson or Bridgerton? Bridgerton.
Bridgerton.
Googling now. That's the benefit of being on.
It's the one I was watching on TV.
Oh, she's been watching it.
Yeah, a lot of people watch it.
Oh yeah, he can Bridgerton me.
Oh.
So I will go for like the whole flashy ball gown outfit thingamajiggies. You know, I'm all about that.
Sam, your audio is a bit low.
Something happened, Sam. It looks like you're. I don't know.
Now?
No, you're very faint.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear
It's like
me
that
now?
Get Out movie. I see your lips.
Hello.
Somebody hear that?
Very soft.
Robert Walters. This is an anti-endorsement.
How dare you, Robert Walters? I'm from Robert Half.
Robert. Why is every recruitment agency some Robert?
Should be, yeah.
Robert Half is where I'm from. Steve, this friendship will have just ended. Guys,
I called you an influencer. I gotta get some credit for this.
Oh my god, I'm not an influencer. You're just confused. It's not my fault.
It's my ADD. I blame it on my ADD.
Oh my god, I'm ADD. Shiny objects.
Wow. So I'm the only normal one here, right?
Okay, normal.
Don't
is
say
not a
normal,
word that we
Philip.
use. What is normal? We are not allowed to use normal. Okay.
I am the only one who isn't certified here. When the men in white coats come, they will take you two, and I'll be sitting there watching.
Okay.
I'll help
first of
because
all,
you're going to be married to a
white
doctor,
coats are
and
in,
her friends are
okay?
coming over for happy hour.
White coats are
That's
in.
what the men in white coats are for you, Phil. That was a callback. Shout out to Dan.
All right,
Sam,
guys.
steer us back.
Soft,
So, guys,
today
why don't we
it's soft
talk about-
Sam.
All right, guys. How about this? Let's take a step back and go back to if we were to time travel and backwards, what would you do differently? I would definitely have finished high school. I would probably be like a Nobel Peace Whiner. Okay,
Wait,
Whiner. A Nobel Peace whiner.
If that
You
was
didn't finish
my-
high school?
No, I didn't. I actually got my high school equivalent degree. I got my admin degree, and then I went to Fordham University. Then I went to Baruch, and I have my master's.
It all works out.
I'm a straight A student. But boom.
Sam, you got it. I think you turned your mic down. Hopefully in post we can bump this up.
Hi, what about now?
Yeah.
Yeah, incredible.
Okay, well, I just took the mic off.
Get it out of here.
Now I
Regrets.
don't look like a sexy operator.
Yeah. This is a callback
Used to
to a
work.
previous episode. This is pre-Sam episodes. This is one of the first, the regrets episode. Have you, Phil? Would you change any context based on this?
Yeah, man. You know, there's a lot of stuff I would change. I've been watching a lot of like science fiction recently, and things like Rick and Morty or Star Trek, and
Yeah.
they deal with the alternate universe, right? Where if you change one thing, the results would be different, right? So, like, let's say, with aviation, during my commercial flying test, I failed it the first time, and by failing it the first time, I had to stay at the school longer, which meant I couldn't get home for something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that delayed a lot of stuff along the way, and so I couldn't even get into the airline at that point. So I keep wondering if I had not failed my flight test, would I be in this position? And there are times where I do ask myself the what if question, like, what if I had done this differently in this relationship, or what if I had been more focused on health. Would I be 88 kilos? Right, my weight's going up, man. So but the thing is, it doesn't matter, because I've been reading Kierkegaard as well. He's a philosopher, a Swedish philosopher, and he said, do this or do that, or don't do this or don't do that. Either way, you'll regret it. Like, it
Are you
doesn't
sure that
matter.
wasn't Yoda again?
It wasn't Yoda. Kierkegaard. Do this or do that. Either way, you can regret it. Which basically means no matter what happens, life will continue. And when he says regret it, he's trying to be. It's a dark style of comedy, right?
Yeah.
So he's saying it's going to be the same, So I'm learning to let go of a lot of things. With the recent breakup, and this job situation, so many things could have been different, and I could have saved the relationship. I could have been promoted in the job earlier, but I would still be in the same boat. Where I am now. I could have been super healthy and had 27 abs and but I would still be in the same boat.
27 abs. That's odd numbered. That's
my left side.
Yeah, I wish you said at least 28 or something.
No.
We're moving on.
Show. No. There is no. Oh, that is imbalanced.
It is.
No.
Left side.
No.
Sam's OCD is kicking me and she's like, unbalanced abs.
Alrighty.
So going back, I would like to change stuff, but either way, it would be the same,
Yeah, and you don't have the perspective back then that you have now, so it's like, this is probably very played out, but the you now who looks back and has all these maybe regrets or things that you could have done different, if you put yourself back in your shoes back then, you probably wouldn't even have thought the same way, right? So it's like you weren't even equipped to make the better decision at that time. Maybe in some cases, there were moments where you might have thought maybe I should do this or I shouldn't do this, and you did anyway. But in most cases, it's like, man, it's like, if only I knew if only I knew then what I know now. So that's really hard. It's a really hard question to answer. Yeah.
One can say that
I think the
2020 is in hindsight.
Yeah, of course. That's an easier way to say it. Yoda, once again.
No, because last year was 2020.
Right. Oh,
guys,
you're a dad somewhere in the world.
I just watched Endgame on Saturday, and it's like, honestly, even going back in time, there's things that you can't change. At the end of the day, you change one thing, it'll cause another ripple effect. I really believe in that. So something's still going to happen. Something's going to change because there's no state of perfection. I don't think there's an actual state where everything in your life is checkbox. And if it is, that means you're complacent probably. That's, I'm not sure that's what you want in your life anyways.
Right. Yeah.
So.
It's true. Yeah, I was just thinking, complacency and such. The funniest thing, even when I think back now, I never cared about school when I was in college. I just didn't care. I just didn't think it was important. And then even I didn't want to go to college. I went to college anyway, and then I didn't care when I was in college really. And I'm just like, man, I just didn't, it wasn't in my head. Now I realize, now I'm thinking, man, I should have cared more. And I realize I'm now equipped to actually care in such an environment. But back then, that would have been interesting. Failure? Yeah, I did fail many classes. I did fail a few classes. Huh?
No, that's really funny. That's super funny. I graduated with an audit degree, and 10 years later, I'm not even near doing that subject. So as much as I learned, it wasn't, I don't know how applicable it is. And in retrospect, you would have thought about going to college for what you're doing now because you're passionate about what you're doing now. That's also a hindsight knowledge. If you told me 10 years ago I would be doing IT right now, I would literally just laugh at you. I thought accounting was my life. That was going to be my godsend. That was my path.
Wow.
Do you want to know when my dad was pressuring me to go to college and I didn't care. I picked up any pamphlet I could find and I just read. It was almost like I threw a dart.
Pamphlets with the
almost. It was pretty much.
Oh my god! I've got the perfect meme for you later.
But it was basically that, and I was, man, I don't want to go to college. Blah blah blah. Why should I? I don't know what I was thinking. And then I was looking through the brochure for my university. What should I major in? And as I was looking, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this. You know what caught my eye? Agriculture.
What?
Yeah.
Wet markets.
No. And then I envisioned myself owning a farm, like a pine tree farm, selling Christmas trees, having a cabin, I was like, oh, land would be good. And I just imagined like a Christmas tree farm and some dogs in a cabin where I made hot dogs. And I was like, I think I could like that life. And honestly, when I think about it now, yeah, I still would. I still would enjoy having my own Christmas tree farm.
You know what? Now I know
so
what
that's
to
your
take,
angle?
a pineapple tree.
Yeah, honestly, I should have taken agricultural studies. And been a
That's
Christmas
so
tree farmer.
interesting.
You don't need to do agriculture to become a farmer. You know what I
I
mean?
don't study it. I don't. It just sounded like a great idea. It still sounds like a good idea. Who wouldn't want to live on like 100 acres of land, have a tractor, whatever the hell shenanigans you do on a farm? That would have been cool.
Do it.
Maybe
There's a lot of
I
land. There's a lot of land on the East Coast.
That's the thing. But I always just imagine things would work out somehow. And that's kind of still the mentality I have now, but with a little bit more acumen, I suppose, in terms of like, okay, these are the things that need to happen in order to not fail.
Is this going to be the origin story of Steve's pine tree farm? You know?
Hey,
Well, based on this origin,
Huh?
well, based on this origin story, guys, actually, I have 2 challenges for you. Audience, I would challenge you to think about what you would do if you could reverse time. And then secondly, would you actually take on this I challenge Steve to come back and tell us next time what he really, really do in agricultural class right now.
Yeah, I would. I would tell you right now. I would.
So we
That
should find
sounds
you up now,
amazing.
right now.
No,
Right
but I
now.
can't. It's too. Okay.
We should bring him now, sign it up.
I would. It would be too much of a switch now. Maybe after certain things happen, I will go back to where I belong on the farm.
Do you
Alright,
even
well,
have
I'm gonna
time?
hold you to your word.
No, not now. But there's a few other questions we have that might lead to a good answer for that. Are you afraid of failure in the future? Yeah, I'm afraid of not having a Christmas tree farm in the future.
Yes, flare your nostril. Flare that more. Flare it. Flare it.
No, for real though, for real. But I'm gonna commandeer the host duty right now because I'm the lesser of the ADD malfunction right now. Are you afraid of failure in the future? And even though I would say that, I think a lot of people have this anxiety. But what is the definition of failure, and in what timeline? That's a tough one. What do you guys think?
Can we just define it?
Define what failure in the future would be?
Oh, failure in the future.
Yeah, the question is, are you afraid of failure in the future?
I think, for me, I'm not sure. I think I've reframed it to not call it failure because it does nothing constructive for me. Rather call them as stepping stones, cornerstones, challenges, and it's a try again. I think maybe that's also more in line with what you said, Steve. I personally can't view things as a failure because admittedly I have a fear of failure. So as soon as I define it as that, then I find it a lot harder for me to go and achieve it. So for example, the whole running thing, I think I suck at it, therefore I don't like doing it. Versus if I pick up a new activity, like for example, working with you guys on this podcast, or just like taking on a new role, I just get thrown in the mix. I'll find a way to do it. But the second I'm like, I can't do it, then that doesn't leave my head and that story keeps playing in my mind. So I avoid thinking that I can't do something.
So interesting. I'm on the opposite spectrum. Failure to me is a partner. It's part of the process, I welcome it. I welcome it all the time. In fact, sometimes I will do something with the intention to fail. Like for instance, the half marathon rather.
Yeah.
I didn't expect I'd finish it. I expected to fail. And through it, I learned, of course, the feelings of actually, the not being good enough, the disappointment, that sucks. But that's part and parcel of the experience for me. So I actually look forward to failure, because it just means it's every anime ever. It's every TV show. The hero's journey.
You need the drama.
I love drama.
Sorry, not you need the drama, but in general, people need that drama, that wake up call. You know what I mean? It's like the za za zoo.
Yeah, it shows your where you are lacking in life, and if you know, and if you expose that, then you can strengthen that, and then you can grow from it. So I like growing, hence the 88 kilograms.
Yeah. The more you talk about anime, Phil, the more I just imagine. I never really thought of you having all these like whiny high school inner monologues like in the animes. What was it? What was the guy? What was the character's name in Evangelion? Just the whiny boy who was just internal monologuing the whole time.
Was it Shiro or was it Shinji?
Shinji. Oh gosh, yeah. Man.
Shinji.
That's I think, Phil, to be honest with you, what you just said, I think it's with just a little bit of tweaking, I think that's a really good mindset, actually, to maybe not to say per se that you are looking to fail or you plan to fail when you start something, but I think that going into situations, realizing that failure is a large probability of failure, but that you will try. And you will try to succeed, but probability is, failure is likely. And because if you go into something, I think it's going into something knowing that you could fail is good. Going into something assuming you're going to fail is maybe not good, because that's like the small subconscious thing that's going to start taking over and perhaps steer you to failure. But if you're going into something you're like, there's a huge degree I'm going to fail, and you start to maybe make a joke of it or laugh at it. For example, in softball, my team, the guys are super competitive, and they were like, "Hey, Steve, do you want to try pitching?" And they're like super competitively, and I'm like, "Yeah, for sure." I knew I was gonna, so I just started making a joke about it, and I'm like, "You guys better not be chapping my ass when I start to screw up." But I was ready to walk in and just like, screw up the whole game, but I would have tried. But I think that's a good way to jump into new things, and I think the only way to start new things is to just start without knowing anything and pick things up along the way, assuming that you're going to fail or make mistakes and keep going. So I think that's a pretty healthy mindset.
Like the way you do with the podcast, you just go in cold.
Basically, I go in cold. That's the same concept. Like, otherwise you start tripping over your words.
On that note, guys, on that note, I'm going to talk about the challenge of having of resetting our mindset to just be open to any opportunities and not looking at it as a failure and seeing it as a partner. And I think another thing is on this week's podcast, we're starting this proper trend of the challenge. So what is the challenge? We miss Max. The Max isn't here this week because he's taking on a personal journey of taking a test. We wish him best of luck. Shout out to you. But then, so Steve, share Max's challenge for the week.
Okay, well, let me pull it up real quick. So
I
might have to tweak it. I might have to tweak it a bit because it's a bit.
Yeah, or Phil or anyone else.
And then here we go. So Max, he wrote a lot here. He challenges us to cook a meal each night until next Monday or the next podcast.
Okay.
He assumes that we'll fail to get it on Monday. Under 500 calories, at least 20 grams of protein per serving for a budget total of 400 Hong Kong dollars. But
easy.
Can we? That's too easy.
Guys,
we can.
It's too easy. I do that already.
Okay, I think it needs to be 50 grams of protein.
I would
50
rather
grams of protein.
For entertainment value. I think that we should focus on one meal that we cook for under $50 that has 50 grams of protein, and we should have a little competition then on the show.
I have it right now.
And we should rate each other's dishes based on nutrition, based on appearance. And we'll do a little fun judging competition. So that is fun. That is fun. And then we got to get can somebody please source a Gordon Ramsay wig for Max?
Wait, we shouldn't judge. We'll get people on Instagram to judge.
We'll get people on Instagram to judge the appearance. Yeah. Maybe Max can judge the flavor or lack thereof. He's weird.
Lack thereof is fine. All right, so now we have our challenge for next week, which is going to be that we the four of us next week will be bringing a dish, meal prep, 50 grams of protein, and less than $50 presentation, and then we're gonna bring our own version of Gordon Ramsay, and you can vote and see who wins as well. Okay, and in summary, now we're gonna talk about business. Business, guys. You want to follow us on Instagram, MidYouth Universe, and then you want to follow us on Spotify, and you also want to check us out on YouTube. So when I say all of this, I'm stuttering because I'm not very technical. I am ADHD. No, okay, I'm not blaming on that. But guys, seriously, check us out on this and give us any feedback. Would love any following. We're trying to get 300 views, please.
Sam,
help us out. Manifestation, following up on speed.
Do it so we can clip it and put it in the channel, but you need to do it in like an Uncle Sam way, but anti-Sam. Follow us. Like and subscribe.
We need you.
We want you.
Something we can clip.
We need you. We need you.
Why should they follow? Why should they follow, Sam?
They should follow because we are authentic, and that is what's going to be on our next episode, talking about our authentic selves. So be ready, be on, and listen next week. So that brings us to the close of this episode. Let's talk next week.